Boulder has a new sheriff in town, this time featuring the return of
Prime time for Dion Smile. His prime time, he's back.
Not to compete, but to win. Not to show up, but to show out. Not to be among the rest, but to be the absolute best. We're coming to work. We're not coming to play. We're coming to kill, not to kick it. Do you understand it? Do you feel that? Do you understand the intensity, the excitement, the adrenaline, the rush that I got right now, that I can't wait till this thing kicks off because we are coming. Boulder, Colorado, you have no idea what you blessed me with, the opportunity that you've given me, and I feel like I owe you.
Touchdown! Caught by Westbrook for a touchdown! Incredible! There is no time remaining.
Running the option on first down. Hagan has it. He has room. He's got one man to beat. Now he pitches to Flanagan, and he may take it all the way. Flanagan's in for the touchdown.
Looking right, scans, throws it right corner of the end zone. Montana's out there. He got a shove, and he goes out of bounds.
Touchdown. He just signaled touchdown.
There you go.
Holy cow! What a play! Touchdown! Touchdown, Colorado!
This is Colorado Football on the Prime and Gold Podcast, your place for up-to-date info on all things CU football. We're about to let the world know something that's no longer a secret. Coach Prime, what are we doing?
Baby, we're coming.
Here's CWS.
Well, look who finally came to join us. Tyler Corbo joins us. He was out sick last week, out on assignment. I mean, what do we even say for you?
Well, I mean, it's good to be here. I'm glad I'm here. I'm not sick anymore. Feeling great. It's been a good week.
Yeah,
Exciting week.
What you had, I might have. I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit, but that also might be because of the 4 a.m. wake-up call, the limited amount of sleep, a very, very long day from Folsom Field in Boulder, where the Colorado Buffaloes defeated the Nebraska Cornhuskers 36-14. The 22nd ranked Buffaloes, well, they start off their 100th season at Folsom with a win. And we got there early in the morning, right before the sun came up, or pretty much right as the sun was coming up over the horizon as we dropped into the canyon. Heck of a view coming in and a heck of an atmosphere. You want to talk about a little bit about kind of what we were able to experience this morning?
Yeah, of course. I mean, first of all, rolling into Boulder, people already tailgating at 6 in the morning. Dedicated fans already tailgating, playing beer pong, 6 in the morning. You know, fans everywhere riding scooters, ready to go for big noon. People starting to huddle around already, and it was just an exciting atmosphere to walk into.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that you never in a million years would think, oh, Colorado playing Nebraska. Yeah, and Colorado's
Exactly.
gonna, be in the situation they're in right now. We're not saying, in a million years, the fans wouldn't be the way they were. I mean, it's Colorado, Nebraska. They're going to be that way. What we're saying is that in a million years, Coach Prime is heading up a crew. He's got every celebrity in the book at his hip.
Yeah, there were a bunch there. We're talking Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, 3 Nuggets players. There were also a bunch of top YouTubers that are friends with, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders that were also there, which is pretty exciting.
I heard Snoop Dogg was in attendance as well. We couldn't get eyes on him, but we
heard rumors of Tom Brady too, but I am.
Yeah, Brady is Shedeur Sanders' personal QB trainer, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Now that
there was a screenshot released. It might have been last week after the TCU game of Tom Brady texting Shedeur saying, "Don't be satisfied."
Yeah, it was. It was after the TCU game.
Mm-hmm.
Which, hey, I mean, that's fantastic for future Hall of Fame quarterback like Brady to be able to reach out
100%.
to this college quarterback that's probably going to be in the Heisman conversation. This team's going to be the talk of the country. I heard it through a friend of mine. We were talking a little bit. He said, well, a friend of his was in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And in Alabama this week, it was Alabama versus Texas in a matchup of the top 15 teams in the country, 11th ranked Texas and 3rd ranked Alabama. And he sat at a truck stop in Tuscaloosa where the game was being played earlier this week. And for an hour, they sat around a table and the only thing they talked about was Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. Nothing about Texas, nothing about Alabama, just what Colorado is doing. And, we got to go out to the pregame show. We were trying to navigate our way through hundreds of, thousands of fans that were getting into the stadium about 30, 40 minutes before kickoff. It was just a nightmare to get in, which we say that with all due respect to Buffalo and Husker fans. It was seriously like walking through the Nuggets parade crowd trying to get in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It was an experience.
Yeah, and the media attention is crazy too. If you just pull up ESPN College Football Instagram account, you're just seeing posts and posts of Dion, Travis Hunter, all the top players, and also too CU's Instagram page. I was taking a look at kind of the follower count and like kind of change of after each game, and they've already gained over 100,000 followers after just 2 games of playing.
Yeah, and they've gained over 1.7 million. I'd have to double check the numbers. I'm pretty sure it's over 1.7 million followers since Coach Prime was announced on December 4th. And just so many numbers to get into. We're not going to cover them all because we want to keep this as short and simple as possible. We've also had a very long day up here. But without further ado, 10 a.m. rolls around. It's a 10 a.m. kick, noon on the East Coast. The sun is just over Folsom Field, and it is burning up in the press box, let me tell you. It was hot. Hot.
Oh, it was hot, right?
They
should have got a fan or something.
Seriously, they say the kickoff temperature was only like 77 degrees or something. It was in the 70s, and I was like, sure. But we're like 60 feet up ahead of everybody else, and don't get me wrong, it was a pleasure and a blessing to be up there, joining up with 846 other credentialed members of the media. But heck of an experience. 10 a.m. rolls around, and as voice of the Buffaloes, Mark Johnson, puts it, it was like an atomic bomb went off in Folsom Field. And no kidding, Ralphie came out, and the booth was shaking, my ears were ringing, I had a headset on, and my ears were still ringing. It was like a reverberation in a small booth, and the echo out inside Folsom. It was unlike anything you'd ever seen. And Coach Gary Barnett even admitted, he goes, in all my years as a coach, player, spectator, or maybe it wasn't a player for the Buffs, but coach or spectator and analyst is what he really meant. He goes, I've never seen anything like this. He's never had to fight through that much of a crowd to get into the building like we all had to.
Yeah, I felt like too, there were barely any seats open. I mean, they were practically at 100% capacity with like 53,000 people.
Yeah, it was a full capacity crowd up until probably midway through the fourth quarter even. And most of the people that stayed were Colorado fans. There were a lot of Nebraska red, but not as much as, say, 4 years ago when Nebraska came to town, or in previous games as well. So, at the end of the day, Colorado did a really good job of keeping the red out. Athletic director Rick George made a good point of that during the week. He said, let's keep the red out. And sure enough, it was about 80-20, black and gold, compared to red and white, or the black shirt, whatever you want to call Nebraska these days. But to start the game at, 10 a.m., early kick, and the Huskers got the ball first. Colorado deferred to the second half. Nebraska goes down in 8 plays, 38 yards in 4 minutes and 51 seconds, and Jeff Sims fumbles the ball. Arden Walker picks up the ball. Colorado gets their first of 4 turnovers on the day. Colorado goes down in 12 plays, punts the ball. Nebraska punts, Colorado punts, Nebraska punts, Colorado punts. Yeah, the first 6 possessions did not include points. Correction, the first 9 possessions did not include points because after 5 punts in a row, Nebraska missed a field goal off the upright. You could hear the doink from up in the press box. It was hilarious. Colorado had their 4th consecutive punt to start the day. Nebraska had their 2nd fumble on the next play, actually. And then Colorado had the ball from the Nebraska 19 after the fumble by Jeff Sims, his 2nd of the day. That one was picked up by Jordan Dominic, who, I looked over at one of our broadcast members, and she had that look on her face of, he just palmed the ball. I was like, yeah, he just grabbed the ball like Michael Jordan palms a basketball. And he just palmed it, picked it up, and then he got tackled. Colorado starts with the ball from the Nebraska 19. They go 3 and out. They gain 6 yards on a pass to Tavares Dawson. On first down, Shador had an incomplete pass on that one, and then he completed the pass to Jimmy Honk the Horn Jr. for no gain. Jace Feely, son of former NFL kicker Jay Feely, kicks a 31-yarder. And keep in mind, There are 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first half. It is 3-0 Colorado. Any thoughts so far before we dig into the following 2 possessions?
I mean, nothing really. I mean, it was just a slow start. Being up in the booth, I was like really intrigued to see how the rest of this game was going to play out. Going from TCU last week, who was in the national championship the previous year, and then playing someone, like Nebraska, who have been longtime rivals. It's just really interesting.
Yeah, Buffalo's defense was definitely on point. The offense struggled a little bit. Nebraska had 2 sacks early in the game as well. And also something I forgot to mention, Nebraska had a team meeting before the game. We didn't actually get to see this live because we were trying to fight the crowds to get inside. But Nebraska had a team meeting, and Shedeur, quarterback for CU, if you haven't figured that out by now, he went over to stop the team meeting at midfield. It was hilarious. I watched a video of it. He literally walked over and was like, "Guys, get off my logo." Like, Coach Prime's message.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Coach Prime's message the whole week was, "This is personal," and Shedeur took it personally. He was like, "Get off." I'm not going to say the non-FCC approved word there, but get off our logo. So he did, and it was a slow start, like Tyler mentioned. 9 possessions before the first points were on the board. Nebraska, on their next play after the field goal, it was a touchback. They went 5 yards and lost 2 more. Had a delay game, and then Sims had his third pick of third turnover. Goodness, seriously, it's been a long day. He had his third turnover of the first half. He had an interception, and Colorado took possession of the ball, and Shedeur passed. He had 1 play, 30 yards, took 8 seconds off the clock to Devarish Dawson for a touchdown. Beautiful pass. Feely's extra point makes it 10-0. There's 2:35 left in the first half at this point. So Nebraska's going to get the ball back. They know Colorado's going to start with the second half with the ball. They need to go down and score. So they take 5 plays, and they're forced into a punt. The punt only goes 25 yards. Colorado gets the ball in their own 37. They have 49 seconds to go down the field, and Colorado's offense was 6th fastest in the nation last week. There's only been, 1 week of games for them. And they go down in 6 plays. They go 49 yards. Feely kicks a 32-yarder. They scored 13 points in 4 minutes and 20 seconds to end the first half.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I wanted to bring up is with all of Sims' mistakes led to a few trips for Buff players to the turnover throne, which I thought was a pretty cool idea that I've never seen before in football that Dion decided to do. Putting a throne on the sideline for, when a turnover happens or whatever, the player goes over and sits in that throne, and then the rest of the team surrounds them and hypes them up in the middle of the game.
Yeah, Miami introduced a turnover chain a few years ago. We've had turnover sticks, chains, chairs, but I haven't seen a gold-plated throne like it's the 13th century England. Like, that was just new. Full disclosure, the last time we saw a gold-plated throne, I think it was 13th century England during somebody's coronation. But, I digress. Colorado gets possession. They don't kick a field goal on their first possession. What am I talking about? Colorado turns the ball over on downs, actually. They decide to go for it on 4th and 3 at the Nebraska 33. It took 7 plays, 41 yards, and Jimmy Horn Jr. lost a yard, so Nebraska gets the ball. Continuing, so it's 13-0 to start the second half. They go down and turn the ball over on downs. Nebraska scores a touchdown, 57-yard run by the quarterback Jeff Sims down the right sideline and down the Nebraska side of the sideline. Took 4 plays, 66 yards, 2 minutes and 10 seconds off the clock. Nebraska's all of a sudden back in the game. And Colorado wanted to take some time off the clock. So they go down, run 10 plays, 75 yards in 3 minutes and 1 second. Didn't really take too much time off the clock, but they took some time off. They score a touchdown of their own. Shedeur Sanders had a pass to Xavier Weaver for 12 more yards, and it made it 20-7. And then the route was on from there. Nebraska had a punt. Colorado kicks a field goal. Feely's 30-yard field goal made it 23-7, his third 30-somewhat yard field goal of the day. Nebraska had their 4th final turnover of the day. It was a fumble recovered by Bishop Thomas. Gabe Irvin lost the ball, at the Nebraska 15. Not the Nebraska 15. Lost it in Colorado territory and just gave gave Colorado good possession, good field position as well. Colorado goes down 9 plays, 65 yards in 4 minutes and 9 seconds, scores a touchdown. They went for 2. It hit the ground. Dawson had an 8-yard run to score the touchdown. Tyler, do you know who that 2-point conversion was to? And can you kind of describe the play as well?
I don't remember who Shedeur was throwing to. What, can you tell me before I go into
I
it?
honestly don't I'm looking right now and I can't remember off the top
Was
of my
it Travis?
head.
I feel like it was Travis.
It might have
Wasn't
been. Might have been Dawson or it might have been Weaver. I can't remember who it was, but the ball hit the ground. And they went to replay on it to see if it even, was a good catch. But the angle they had from behind the ball was that the ball hit the ground instead of his hands. So after review, they said it was no good.
Yeah, I just want to bring up how many tackles Shedeur avoided during that play. He was just running around in circles, side to side, avoiding, and he was still able to get that throw off.
Right. I mean, it was a sidearm kind of throw. He broke 4 tackles to get to that point. It was just phenomenal.
I haven't seen something like that in a while.
Colorado got a sideline warning, too, after the touchdown, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Prime looked pretty angry after that.
Yeah. He's also going to be angry at his son, Shiloh Sanders. We'll get to that in a minute. Colorado leads 29-7 after the failed 2-point conversion. Nebraska goes down in 9 plays and 30 yards. They turn it over on downs. Colorado stopped them just beyond midfield. Colorado takes possession. They score a touchdown in 6 plays, 55 yards, capped off by a 6-yard run by Shedeur Sanders to make it 36-7. And there's about 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter at this point. Nebraska turns it over on downs, 5 plays, 20 yards. They couldn't get anything on the ground. They couldn't get anything through the air after the first couple of possessions. They were driving after the first quarter, and that was really the only time they were driving down the field against this Colorado defense with speedy secondary players. I mentioned last week, if this was a 7-on-7 competition, Colorado's winning a national championship. But football's played with 11. There's no linemen involved. So,
one thing I did notice about this game is that their plays were a lot slower. Like when they were getting to the line, it was taking them a lot more time than the TCU game.
And I think in part that's because Nebraska wants to wear their opponents down, and they do that by running plays that take forever, and then they take the full 30 seconds to keep that defense out there. Colorado did really good by not running as fast, but they wanted to wear the Nebraska defense down because Nebraska's defense is not used to being on the field for short periods of time, and I don't know what made the difference. It's weird because on one hand you want to run fast plays and tire the defense out. On the other hand, you want to ground and pound or make them think about those plays and make them question their coverages. And Nebraska just looked all out of sorts in the secondary. Their cornerbacks and their safeties just got lost in assignments quite a bit. But I could see it either way. Colorado was not going as fast as they were against TCU, and I think the game flow kind of called for that. But at the end of the day, I don't know the real reason. I was just somewhat speculating, I guess. So
yeah, another thing too that I want to bring up about Shedeur, I saw this, is that he's on pace, his current stats, to finish with more than 5,500 passing yards and 40 passing touchdowns by the end of the regular season.
Yeah, he's the first Colorado quarterback to have over 900 yards passing in any 2-game stretch. That's just incredible. So Sanders is on pace to be a Heisman finalist at this point. I mean, we're 2 games into the year. Travis Hunter could say the same thing. And Travis Hunter played 120 snaps in this game compared to 160 last week. He's got the stamina for it. Shedeur, after that 6-yard touchdown run, also broke out the little Prime shuffle that Coach Prime used to do back in the day. And Coach Prime remarked, it was funny because somebody asked him about that. And Prime goes, "Well, the good Lord passed over all the males in the family for good dancing moves. My daughter got that one."
That's awesome.
So, and he also said Shedeur didn't do it as well. So I wonder if there will be some dance lessons going on during the week because that will not be the last rushing touchdown by Shedeur Sanders this season.
Another thing too that Prime brought up in a post game interview right after the game, he said Travis Hunter is going to need a hot tub on the plane on the way to their next game after all his playing time. Oh, that's right. Sorry, next away. But shortly after that, United tweeted back at that a picture of inside the plane with a hot tub in it, which is pretty funny.
Had to take out 3 rows. They might need a second plane for that one. Hey, their next away game is at Oregon in 2 weeks. That'll be the 23rd. This upcoming week, they'll be playing CSU. We'll get to that in just a second. Shiloh Sanders, one of the safeties, also had an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. They were tackling late, and so he decided to get in one of the Nebraska players' faces. And his dad is probably going to have a conversation with him because after the game, Shiloh said, well, I was just trying to be slick. Trying to slide in. I was like, well, you're going to be sliding into your dad's office on Monday morning. Even though Monday's the day off, you will be sliding in because you're going to have a conversation with him about that one. So he knows that. He was on the coach's show earlier in the week, and he did a heck of an impression of his dad, which we were all impressed by. So the Sanders family really fitting in the Boulder scene, I guess. 2 possessions to go. Colorado fumbles it. The backup quarterback was sacked for a loss of 12 yards. He fumbled the ball. They'll be looking for a new second-string quarterback after this week. And then Nebraska, on the last play of the game, scored a touchdown to Thomas Fidone, the tight end, who played 39 snaps the week before against Minnesota out of 81, which is less than half, but he was on the field for a lot of the snaps in this game. He scores a touchdown to make it 36-14. The student section boiled over as if they were about to rush the field. And then the intercom...
And then they rushed the field.
Well, it was funny because the athletic director, Rick George, walked over. Coach Barnett goes, well, Dad showed up. And as soon as Rick George walked over, I kid you not, all the kids that had come out of the student section, most of them went right back up the ramp where the Colorado is paving.
Yeah, I noticed that. They were scared.
Yeah, they were like, well, Dad's here. We need to go back. Well, there was a second left in the game. Security tried tackling people. People got out of the field. It was just a mess. So Matt Rule...
Yeah, I saw some kid get practically blacked out.
He got laid out. So Associate Athletic Director Jason DePape, he's built like an offensive lineman. He is a giant. He's a kind giant. And he's standing at about the opposing 30. And this kid comes up I don't know if he was trying to get a photo with the Nebraska football team, somebody on the team, but he's like running around and he comes up to DePape and DePape just lays him out. Like, if there are tackle stats for post-game interviews or post-game antics, DePape is leading the athletic department in tackles after this week.
100%.
Oh, it was an absolute pancake. It is phenomenal. So, the Buffs storm the field. Matt Rule walks over from his sideline to go shake hands with Coach Prime. The officials as well kind of get involved because, they all need to have a conversation. There's 1 second on the clock. It's a 22-point game. Do we really need to keep going? And as soon as Rule walked away, the official got on his microphone and said, that is the end of the game. And it was just pandemonium. All hell broke loose. All 12,000 students just piled onto the field. And, there was jumping. It was like a freaking party down there.
I'm wondering what happened to Dion. Did he have a security rushing right away?
Oh, yeah.
He got many fans.
He got rushed right back into the locker room. And it wasn't just Dion. The whole team got rushed back. Trevor Woods was standing with our Andy Lindahl to try and get a report. Or Andy was trying to get an interview, and he only got one question before he got ushered away by the SID staff. So great job by Curtis Snyder and the Sports Information Department this week, by the way. They really took care of the players this week. And they did a really good job being hospitable to everybody. So kudos to them as well. So that covers Colorado versus Nebraska. Colorado moves up to 18th in the AP poll. They will be taking on the Colorado State Rams this week. College Game Day is coming to town for the first time since 1996, which was also the last time that Coach Prime and the Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl. So it's going to be a very interesting week. there will be more information released on that, where the event will be held and stuff like that. But for the first time in 27 years, College Game Day to Boulder. And that'll be from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern, or 12 p.m. Eastern. And then the game is at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. So we could be looking at a very long day in Boulder. We will cross that bridge later. But for now, Colorado State, Colorado this upcoming Saturday. This past week, Colorado Buffaloes 36, Nebraska Cornhuskers 14. Tyler, any final parting thoughts before we go home and get some sleep? Without further ado, this covers Prime and Goal for this week, week 2. Join us next week for a recap of the Rocky Mountain Showdown between Colorado and Colorado State.
This podcast is copyrighted by the Sport Report for viewers to understand sports from a neutral perspective and news reporting basis. Any other use of this podcast, the Sport Report logos, or anything associated with the company without the express written consent of Chandler with Sports is strictly prohibited.